Hello, this is Mikayla Chislett, and this is my little run-through video for Assignment 1, Engineering 6200 at Memorial University. Alright, so I'll just first take a quick run through my design. I had a little bit of trouble wrapping my head exactly around the 8 output variables to dedicate the lift location, and therefore mine is done a little bit differently than specified in the assignment instructions. I wasn't able to get the single timer, single counter, and a comparator, but I do have a way and it do work. Just probably is a little more work than it could have been, but we're just gonna go with it. Alright, so I'll just go through my SFC here first. So this SFC is going to start off in 0, the initial state. And the initial state for me is actually going to be the stop state, so nothing is happening and a stop button was physically pressed. We're just going to also start off there just to keep it a little safer, so as soon as this device is installed, it won't start moving right away or anything. So after it's in that stop state, it's going to check and see where the cage is currently. So the way I have it done is if the cage is below level 4, it's gonna say it's in like the down state, which would be state 1, so it'll be at the bottom. If the cage is above level 4, or I guess at level 4 as well, the cage is going to be at the top state, so I'm at the top, and that's going to be state 2. So I'll just run through the right side here first. So if we were stopped and then we wanted to get the cage lift going, we're going to check and see first. So we're going to say, all right, well, the cage is below level 4, so it's down. So that means that we want it to move up when there's a button pressed. So after we see where the count is, we're going to go to 1 here, and 1 is just going to tell us, okay, we're down here from the beginning after our stop. So then we're going to look and see, okay, we have to get the top button or the bottom button pressed. Seems each button can call or send. We need either button to bring it in either direction. So for an example, if we click the bottom button here, we're going to go to state 4, and state 4 is actually when the motor is going to be moving in an upwards direction to bring it to the top level. So when we're in 4, we're going to have the cage lift active, which is what's going to tell us the cage location, which I'll show later on in my ladder diagram. We're going to have lights on. So this lights on is just going to indicate the single red light that tells when the cage is moving. So that'll come on whenever it's moving. Like here, the cage would be moving upwards. And it's going to close the solenoid valve. So the solenoid valve is the one that controls the hand door on each level. So if the cage is moving, that will be closed. So after 4, we're just going to go right here. So if we have a stop button, it only says bottom stop and top stop right here in this, just to kind of keep the words to a minimum. But technically this will be the stop at any level. I tried to keep things a little bit concise here so there wasn't words and lines going everywhere, and the same in the ladder, so there's not just random things popping out all over the place. So yeah, if there's a stop button pushed, we're going to go back up here to state 0. And this little note is not to do with this state 0. This note will go with state 6. So if we have the stop, we'll go up to 0 and we'll have to wait for another input. If not, when the cage reaches the top level, we will hit a top limit switch, which will stop moving the cage. We'll know it, can't go no further. And we'll go into 6 here. So 6 is going to tell us when it is at the top. So our cage is now at the top. When we're at the top, the solenoid will be open, so you can access the items in the cage, and the light will be turned off. After we're in 6 here, we want to wait for another input. So since we can call or send with each button, if we get the top button, we'll go to 3, which I'll explain in a moment, or if we get the bottom button, we'll also go to 3. So now I'll just pop over to the left here. So if originally after we're in the stop state, we go to the count, and our count is above 4, so that just means it counts above the 4th level, we're going to go into state 2. State 2 here is just going to wait until we get a top or bottom button, which is going to tell us to go ahead and move to 3, which is motor down. So from here, the motor is going to start to move to the bottom. Again, it's going to activate the same cage lift here, which it just basically just counts from 0 to 8 with a set of lights to tell how close it is to come in. Would have been ideal probably to get from 0 to 8 one way and 8 to 0 the other way. I just decided to keep my ladder diagram a little bit shorter and have it just count up both times. You can still roughly know how close it is to you, as even if it goes up or down, it still has to run through the same 8 states, just a little backwards. And again, the solenoid to be closed, so you can't open that door. So then once we're in 3, if we get that stop switch again, we'll go up to 0. Again, this note here will go with 5. So we will go into state 5 when we hit the bottom limit switch. In this program, sadly, limit switches don't work exactly how they should. At least I'm not really sure how to do that. Not yet anyway, so I'll just have to manually do all that. So this demonstration might be a little not so realistic, but hopefully it'll give the main idea as best I can. So once we're in 5, again, we're going to wait again for the top or the bottom button. If we get either, we'll move to 4. So just to explain these right here, after the top and bottom button, the 3 and 4 transitions. So what this is once we're in state 6 here, we'll be at the top. So when we get a button, we know that the motor needs to move down. So that's why it's going to link to 3, because this will move our motor down. And likewise, if we were in 5 and we get a top or bottom, we'll have to go to 4, which will move our motor up. Yeah, so that's my basic SFC here. Seems pretty simple, but it does the job. Okay, and now for a quick run through here of my ladder diagram, which will link to my SFC. So we'll start here on this first rung here. So first we check here and we see what the count is. So are we at the top or the bottom? Once that's determined, we'll go to the second, what are these called? Second inputs, I guess. The inputs. So we have x4.a and x3.a. So that is x4 and x3 right here. So this will, we will get into one of these once we get a top button or a bottom button pressed to either call or send the cargo. And we just want to highlight here that we have the top or the bottom for each, as the top and bottom can send and call, and not just bring it from the bottom to the top, one or the other. Both can put it in both directions. So next here we have this x5 and x6.a. So they link to states 5 and 6 right here. So that is for the limit switches. So just say if we're at the count less than 4, so we're at the bottom, and this limit switch will just tell us when the motor is moving up. Oh, we've reached the top, don't go no more. So these limit switches can't be active for us to move, and as soon as we reach the top limit when the motor is moving up, this will open and the cage stop moving until we get a new button pressed. So we also have the stop buttons right here, top and the bottom, as they can both stop the motor when it's in motion if needed. And finally we have a solenoid limit as an input. So the solenoid switch controls the door. If the door is open, the solenoid limit will be open. And that means that the motor won't be able to move until the door is fully closed and the solenoid limit is closed, just for some added safety. And the outputs for the first two here, we have the motor up, motor down, and red light. So the red light, there's only one output here just to save on some outputs. I actually used all the outputs that are shown here, up to 14 plus more, which you can't see. While the program is running, you'll actually be able to see those go high anyway. Just sadly, we won't get the little light bulb over here. But that's just the single red light that tells if there's motion. And then the motor up and motor down. So originally, if the count is less than 4, we're at the bottom. So once we get an input, the motor needs to move up until we get to state 6, which will be from our top limit switch. Then the motor down. So if originally we're at the top and we get buttons A or B, the motor will go down until we get that bottom limit right here, or of course the stop here. And the solenoid won't be able to open, but this is just for some extra safety. So then to the next part here, we have the motor up and the motor down for our inputs. This actually controls the solenoid valve for the hand-operated door. So if a motor is moving, the solenoid closed will be active here. which will mean that the solenoid is locked in place and cannot open. So if there's movement in the motor, we cannot open the door. If there's no movement, then the solenoid open will be active, and you will be able to open the door whenever the motor is stopped moving. So this is the basics right here of how it's going to go. So if you're at the bottom and you click 1 or 2, motor up until we get the top limit. If you're at the top and you got either, the motor will go down until you get the bottom limit. The solenoid here for the hand-operated door, and then we'll go into this little rung here. So this rung is just used to tell us where the cage currently is. So if it's above or below 4. So we're just going to use Q14, which I'll show in a minute. That's not included in the SFC over here. This basically just shows the basic movement. There's a little extra in the ladder that just counts where it is. So that's the cage lift. I just have the cage lift put here as an action that happens while you're in there instead of directly putting it in the SFC. So that will just happen in the program, and we'll have be connected to auxiliary lights that light up when it's moving. So over here, Q14, which I'll show you, when Q14 is high, that's a counter output. So if the counter is high, you know that, well, it's right here, and we're above 4, so we're in the top level. 4 just being halfway, you're in the majority of the top. So for the purposes of this, if we're above the halfway mark, we're in the top region. And then we have not Q4, so if count is below 4, which will be happening when it's 0, we will be in the bottom region. That will just be used to control if the motor needs to move up or down when there's an input up here. We just have the switches again for the safety, and then the limit switches just to be able to control these a little better. So now finally, this won't be so touchy. So this is my very long and unneeded ladder diagram for counting where we are. So just to determine the lift level. Like I said, I had some trouble getting exactly how it was asked for, but I did use this way, and it do work successfully. So this is what we're going to go with. So once the motor starts moving, we know that we're at floor 0 and we have to count to 8. So I have used a combination of 8 timers here. So each timer will be active for 1 second. So as it starts, we'll get 1 second active. We'll go to Q10. So this Q10 will turn on a first light to tell we're on the first, floor, or the first of the 8 movements to come up. So each of these is active for 1 second. So we'll go 1 second. Okay, we're at 1 level. This will go active. We'll go active for another second. We'll get the next one active. So this will keep on going up, 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 as you can see by all these counters, until we get up here and we turn on the 8th light bulb. So the 8th light bulb will tell that, oh, we're at the 8th floor. And this is when we're at the 8th floor is when the limit switch will be active. The 8th floor or the bottom. I just use the same ladder for going up or down, so we'll always count from 0 to 8. It would be nice if it also counted downwards and the light bulbs came on in the other direction, which probably could have happened if I was able to successfully figure out the shorter route. Unfortunately, I done it this way, and instead of making 2 big ladders, I just chose to do 1. And either way, it has to go through a series of 8 levels, either up or down. So you can still get the main idea. So this will bring you through the 8, and then finally when we get here to Q18, as you can see there's no more timers as we reach the top. And then going back here we have this counter. So this counter will be used to tell us where we are. So Q13 here will tell us when we're halfway, so at 4. So when we're at Q14, the counter will go up and the output will become high. So then when the output's high, you know you're originally at the top. And then when you're at the top, the motor will need to go down. So a problem I first had, I didn't have anything here in the reset. So once I got to the top and Q14 went high, I'm right here. When Q14 was high in the first place when it was at the bottom, because I used a seal-in, which I just found necessary after some testing, both levels will be active, which is not what we wanted. So in order to fix that, whenever a motor down state is entered. So whenever we need the motor to go down, I actually put it in here to reset, because as the motor is going down, you know you're going to get to the 0 level, so then there should be a 0. So we just reset every time we get a motor down. It works perfect, and we toggle back and forth between 1 and 0 depending on our location. And yeah, so this is just a quick run through of the ladder. It's probably a little hard to understand someone else's ladder. I know I tried to put all my symbols over here, but it's still a lot to look at, especially when you don't design something, as everybody has different ideas and different labels and stuff. So now I'll just do a quick run through. This may not be perfect, as I have to go through and manually click different things, like the top and bottom limits, which should actually automatically go off. So there might be a couple little screw ups that I got to fix along the way, but hopefully it all goes good. Alright, so we'll just go back into our SFC. So we'll start. I'm just going to reset my logic just in case there's anything in there. And we're going to run the program. So here we are. We're starting off in the initial state, which is state 0. So we're just in a stop for safety. So then we're going to just come over here, and we can see here that we have this count less than 4. So this count less than 4 should technically activate the count less than 4 over here. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at this SFC stuff yet, so I had to just manually put that in first try. That I have to manually put in for now. I couldn't figure out the exact linking. So we're just gonna start off here with our count less than 4. So once we get count less than 4, we'll go here to state 1. So that just tells us our count is less than 4. And we have count less than 4 here. So all we need now is a button input. We know we're at the bottom, so we need the motor to go up. And the count is also less than 4 here. So this one is active as we're at the bottom. So now we need the motor to go up. So in order for the motor to go up, we need the top or the bottom button to be activated. So we'll just go here and we'll get the top button. So top button. So here we're in 4, and I'll scroll over quick. As you can see, the motor is on, and now we're going down through this counting. It's a little hard to get over there quick enough, but as you can see, we counted from 0 all the way up to 8 right here. So that was our 8 light indicators. So right here, as you can see too, the motor was also going up right here. Technically now, if this was a real world application, the top limit switch would have automatically went off and put it into state 6, which is telling us it is at the top. I just have to go in and manually show that it is at the top limit. There's no sensors on here, so I'll just click our top limit, and there we go. We're at our top limit, so we're in state 6. So great. So now we just need to wait for an input, and the cage will start to move down. So again, we have our 6, so we just have to wait for the top or the bottom button. We'll just go bottom button this time. So we get, oh, sorry, I clicked the bottom stop, not the bottom button. So we'll go bottom button right here, and we went to state 3. We can see motor down, and again, these levels are activating until we get to 18 here, which tells us, oh, perfect, we're all the way down. The counter here is set to 0 due to this motor down reset to tell us we are at the bottom. Motor down. Again, technically right now the motor's down, so we should get our bottom limit switch. Unfortunately we don't, just due to the program, so we'll go bottom limit. The motor goes off. I forgot to mention this last time, but our solenoid valve actually opens right now, so you can actually activate, access the door, the cage, to get the things out. You can see right here, again, we're at the bottom. I'll just do one more here, and we'll go through, and then we'll stop. So 5, I'll actually run over to the ladder diagram to show this one. So once we go 5, we need to get the top or the bottom button, which is going to bring us over here to 4. Instead of showing it here, I'm just going to go here and wait for the top or bottom button. So this here will become active. So we'll just go, let's see, we're at the bottom, we want to go to the top. Let's use the bottom button just to show that the bottom button can also send up instead of just calling down. So we'll go bottom, we have active here, motor up, solenoid is closed, and we're running through again. So this is just turning on those 8 lights again to count where it is. We're all the way up to 8. The moving red light was on. And this here, we moved up, so this is when we technically should get our top limit switch to turn it all off. And now we'll just go through over here. See, we're in this this state right here, so the motor's there, and we're just gonna get a stop switch. Oh, that's the wrong one. So right, like I said, right here I only put one top, and I just said the bottom here just to kind of save a little too many words hanging around. That's why that happened. Technically this should be for the top and the bottom as it's shown in the ladder. The SFC just wouldn't let me have too many words hanging around. Yeah, so that is the basic movement of my design here. Hopefully it was clear and it showed the functionality. I might have blabbered a bit too long and not shown everything perfectly. But yeah, so again, we're in 0. You see where it is. Once we get an input here, I'll just run through it pure here again. So just say we were in 0. I just clicked count was greater than 4, as I manually have to do it in here so that there's no sensors. So count is greater than 4, we go to 2, wait for a button again. Perfect. We had our button, so our motor is moving down. As you can see, a couple of these light bulbs turn on. Q14 is for that counter there, so that won't come on when the motor is moving down. Right now, if we could see all the way up to 18, they should all be lit up. We're in 3. We're going to wait. This is when the censored bottom limit would work. So we'll just get our bottom limit. And then, yeah, we'll just wait for not the top stop, the bottom button, I guess. And then, again, we'll just get our stop and we'll go to 0. So I didn't run through this in the beginning here, but here are my symbol names. So we have B0, which is count greater than 4, B1 count less than 4, top button, bottom button. So I'll include a snap of this here in my report. And I think that's everything. So yeah, hopefully it's explained well. I know it mightn't be so easy to show on a video as it would be in person. It might be a little hard to understand my design, all the different things. But hopefully you see from this video that it do work. It's a little rough on the edges and it's a little hard when you're just manually turning everything on when it should be a sensor. But the design do work. So yeah, thank you. And if there's any questions, just let me know. It might be a bit hard to ask a question with all this on the go. But if there's anything, feel free to just let me know.